Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the new session of Azure Developer Community Introduction to Microsoft Fabric. Today, we have the first session, and we have our special guest with us today, Shivam Sharma. Shivam is the data consultant at Microsoft, and today he'll be talking about introduction to Microsoft Fabric and core components. So, let's invite him. Hi, Shivam.
Yeah, hi, Azhar. Thank you so much for the introduction. So we will quickly start. So first of all, I will give my brief intro. So I am working as a data consultant at Microsoft. So I am having nearly 6.5 years of experience working in the field of data engineering. And specifically in the data engineering, I am having experience of working over the Azure cloud platform mostly, where I worked on tools like Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, and ADLS Gen 2 account or PySpark for the transformation purpose. So that's all about me. Coming about the today's session. So as you all know, in today's world, the technology keeps on evolving and changing at a very rapid pace. So basically, we have a cool product from Microsoft now, that is Microsoft Fabric. So Microsoft Fabric is a kind of a unified software as a service platform which which covers all the data engineering related services, data science related services, or let's say AI related services under a single roof. So we will be discussing about it today. And the things that we will be covering in the today's session is mostly about the introduction part and the core components. Like we will not go in much details today, because since it's new to most of the persons, like many of you are not aware what Microsoft Fabric is all about. So we will not keep it much technical. We will just introduce you to the core components and walk you through the UI, like how exactly Fabric looks like, what is the role of each component, and like how we can use it in our day-to-day projects, or let's say for any client requirement. Next thing is I have prepared one PPT where I will be showcasing all the components that are being used in Microsoft Fabric. Not all, but I have covered mostly related to the data engineering side. And one more thing want to say, I kept the PPT little bit lengthy, or I will say detailed. The reason being, like since most of you are new to Microsoft Fabric, so even if you see the PPT, you will get some context, like you will not get confused. So that's why I keep it little bit lengthy. So yeah, so I will quickly share my screen and we will start now. So Azul, can you confirm, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So first things first, so introduction part. So what is Microsoft Fabric? So basically Microsoft Fabric, as I told, it's a unified software as a service platform that integrates all your data related services, including data ingestion, data transformation, real-time reporting, or storage solutions, everything under a single roof. And it was introduced in 2003, May 2023. So it the main advantage, I will say, of Microsoft Fabric is that like everything is under the single place. So that is the main advantage. So it covers all the services like data engineering, data factory, data science, real-time intelligence, data warehouse and database, and the Power BI reporting as well, along with the AI capabilities such as Azure AI Foundry. Coming to the architecture part, so basically it's a simple architecture. So in this architecture, if you will see, like under the single roof we have all the things. We are having a data factories, like data factory, most of, if you are from the data engineering background, you will be aware like data factory is a kind of ETL or orchestration tool which is used in Azure for like triggering the workflows or triggering the database jobs depending on the client requirement. Then we are having data engineering related services, so which includes we are having a feature of Spark notebooks, we are having KQL databases, event house, like each of them have their specific use cases and requirements. So that is about data engineering part. Then data warehouse, as most of you know, like data warehouse is a kind of a storage place where we will be storing all the data, and on the basis of which we will be creating some business insights or reports. Then we have a data science thing. So in data science, like basically we will be having a complete set of resources which are used to train or like perform experiments related to data science models or AI models. Then we have a real-time intelligence. So basically in Microsoft Fabric, we are having a pretty good amount of real-time ingestion services, or I will say intelligence services, which you can use to do the analytics on real-time basis. Then we have a Power BI. As all of you know, like Power BI is a reporting tool which is like used majorly for the reporting purpose. And then again, it is coming integrated with the Copilot, that is called Copilot in Fabric. That is our AI assistant, which will help you as and when required. And one lake, so one lake is kind of a bit basically a storage solution, kind of a unified storage solution which will capture all your data. So we will cover this topic in detail in the upcoming slides. I will not focus much here. And then we have a Microsoft Purview for the governing solutions. Going to the next slide now. So the next thing, like the next question will come, like why Microsoft Fabric? So these are some of the reasons. Like as I told you, I keep the slides little bit lengthy. The reason being, even if you see the slide, you will get some context because it's a new product for most of you. Many of you are not aware like what are the features or what are the advantages. That's why I keep it little bit lengthy. So first thing, like unified platform. So as I told, like it integrates all the data engineering related, data science related, real-time intelligence related services under the one roof. That's why it's a unified platform. Then the other thing is like it's seamless integration. So basically in Microsoft Fabric, there is a functionality which will integrate Microsoft 365 tools, which will enhance collaboration and productivity across the organization. Like it's a pretty cool feature here. Next thing, centralized data management. So basically in Fabric, we are having a centralized data storage, or I will say data management place, which is called One Lake. So One Lake is a unified data lake, like which will store all your organization data. Like you do not need to create separate solutions. Like everything will come at one place. That is One Lake. So that is about One Lake. We will cover it in detail in the upcoming slides. Then the next advantage is like it comes with the feature of AI and machine learning capabilities. So like there are some inbuilt services in within the Fabric that you can use for like training AI models, and you can utilize as your AI foundry for advanced AI and machine learning things. Then coming to the security features, because in today's world security is also one of the major concern, and we should not we should like every organization should focus on security of the customers data or the clients data. If they not, even if they are not handling PIA or PHI data, but even if the data is not that much sensitive, but they should take care of some of the security measures. So basically Fabric comes with so many security features such as row level security, column level security, object level security, and dynamic data masking. And again, enhanced collaboration. So enhanced collaboration, because as you know, like when you work on any client project, like there are multiple teams, multiple members who are having different roles, such as data engineers, data science testers, or DevOps persons. So like all of them can work under a same place or a same workspace, because like since it's a unified platform, so it will enhance the collaboration among them. Because if let's say a DevOps guy is working on some other tool, or a data engineering guy is working on some other tool, then it is little bit difficult to collaborate. But since it's a unified platform, all of them can work together in a collaborative manner at a single place. So I will quickly show you little bit about the UI thing, how exactly Fabric looks like. So this is the interface for Fabric UI. So in Fabric, like you have this workspace thing, so it is much or less similar to what we have resource group within the Azure portal. So under the resource group, if you remember, like we create different kind of services, like we create ADLS accounts, we create Azure Data Factory, Synapse workspace, everything. So workspace is kind of similar to that only. Like in workspace, you can create different items. So that is called workspace. So next slide is about workspace only. So basically workspace will like organize your data projects, and it will keep all your project related artifacts at a one place. So let's say I will show with a quick example. So like this is my workspace. If you see in my workspace, I have different items. Like I have notebook, I have one event house, I have one KQL database, I have one KQL query set, I have one data pipeline. So everything that I will create related to any project or any requirement, that will come under a single place, that is called workspace. And this name is also optional, like you can create by any name. So this is not like it is fixed, like we have to give always my workspace. So that's about the workspace thing. And if you want to create some new item within the workspace, then you can simply click on new item and it will give you lots of options. Like if you will see here, so whatever thing you want to create, you can just go ahead and create by using this workspace. And you can also create the folders. Let's say there are multiple team members within the team, then suppose if you want to keep separate their folders or their resources, then you can create folder by their names. Or let's say if there is some organization having different business units, so you can create different folders and then you can keep their artifacts according to their requirement. Now coming to the part like where we will be discussing various services which are present in the Microsoft Fabric. So first slide, it is showing about the visualizing data in Microsoft Fabric, like which means what are the services by using which we can visualize the data, or a kind of a reporting services. So all these if you will see, so these services are used for visualization of data in Microsoft Fabric, like dashboard we have graph instance, and like most of them are in preview. So like most of you will be confused like what exactly this preview means. So basically preview features are released with limited capabilities and they are made available to some of the customers on preview basis so that they can get the early access and provide some feedback. So they are not production ready features. So that is about preview. So I just told so that most of you will not be confused by seeing this. Then we have a real-time dashboard, reports and scorecard, and showing this on the portal also, how exactly it comes. So when you go to workspace, if you click on the new item, so you will see all those services here. So it comes under visualization part. So that is about the visualization. Next is about the data ingestion part. Like data ingestion, suppose if we are reading data from some source or some, like let's say upstream application is sending us the data. In that case, like how we will be doing that ingestion. So all these services which are being mentioned here, they are basically used for the data ingestion purpose. So again, going to the portal. So if you will see so all these are like data ingestion services, like data pipeline, copy job, data flow gen 2. And if you see I have just created one pipeline just to show you. So like this is my pipeline, pipeline. So it's a data pipeline. So what it will do, like it will call the for each activity and which will call the notebook, and then it will execute some data ingestion process. So it is pretty much similar to what we have in ADF, but like there are very minor differences that I will cover in the upcoming slides because we have a dedicated slide for Fabric pipelines as well. So here I am focusing on the data ingestion services which are available in Microsoft Fabric. That is copy job, data pipeline, data flow gen 2, event stream, and like some of them, as I told, are still in preview. Like this Azure Cosmos DB is still in preview, and we have mirrored Azure Databricks catalog as well, where we can explore the Unity catalog tables, and we have mirrored Azure SQL DB as well. Like it's a kind of a new feature, like where we can easily replicate data from some existing source into our analytics friendly format. Going to the next slide now. Storage solutions. So whenever you are working on some data project, so the most crucial part is the storage thing, because like storage is the place where you will be storing all the data for your analytics purpose. Let's say you are reading data from some source, you are doing some transformations, you are applying some business logics, then you need some place where you will be storing that data. So storage location is all about that thing only. And so what are the storage solutions which are present in Microsoft Fabric? Again, we are having event house, lake house, sample warehouse, semantic models, SQL database. So SQL database is still in preview, so it will be productionized very soon. And then we have a warehouse thing. So this lake house, event house, and warehouse we will be covering in detail in the upcoming slides, but I can give you a brief overview. So basically, event house is used for the for storing the data on the real time basis. So you can directly query the data using a KQL query set in the event house, and it will display the data on like real time basis. Lake house is kind of pretty much similar what we call data lake. So it comes with the combined features of data warehouse as well as data lake. So whatever the data which is stored in lakehouse is in the delta format, where the data will be stored in a parquet files, and you can directly query that data using SQL endpoints. So I will cover the SQL endpoints, lakehouse, event house, everything in detail in the upcoming slides. Then the transformation part. So again, like if you are reading data from any source and you are dumping it to the some target location, then you have to apply some transformations, because like there is no point of reading data and simply ingesting. Like there are some use cases where we used to do simple ingestion as well without any transformation, but in most of the cases or most of the projects you need to apply some of the transformations, like where you will be writing some logic or some business transformations. Let's say if you are working some for some retail domain client, and you want to filter out the data for any particular location or particular customer code, or let's say client code, then in that case you will write some code in the PySpark, SQL. Like there are multiple languages, and there are some code free tools as well, like you can use ADF for this purpose transformation thing. So that is about the transformation of data in Fabric. So we have these services which are used for transformation part, like we have notebook, we have data flow gen 2, we have data pipeline, we have Azure data factory. So most of you, like whoever worked on Azure data engineering tech stack before, they will be already aware what is Azure data factory. Then we have event stream. So all these are transformation services in Microsoft Fabric. Yeah. Now coming to the one lake part that I told, like we will be covering in the detail. So basically, one lake is a single place for all your data of any organization. So what it will do, like it will combine all the data at a single place. Like we do not need separate locations or separate storage infrastructure for storing the data at different places. Like it's a unified place for all your data within the organization. Next thing, like automatic provisioning. So basically automatic provisioning means like you have not to explicitly create one lake. So as soon as your Fabric tenant is created, or your Fabric account is created, it will be automatically provisioned in that Fabric account. So you do not need to explicitly create it. So it is kind of similar what we have ADLS Gen 2 within our Azure portal. So it can support structured as well as unstructured data. So like both the data, both the formats of data we can store within the one lake, as we have in the ADLS Gen 2. Like it's a kind of pretty much similar to ADLS Gen 2. And next thing, one lake, since within the one lake you can have all the different data services. Like as I told, like in Microsoft Fabric we have multiple storage things, like we have this Cosmos DB, event house, lake house. So whatever services you will create in Microsoft Fabric, like storage services, that will be visible under one lake catalog. So it's a unified place where you can see all the data and use it for the analytics purpose. Now coming to the shortcuts. So shortcuts in Microsoft Fabric. So sometimes you see the data of the client, or the data of let's say if you are working on some project. So in that case, like you will see the data is distributed in multiple locations or multiple services. Let's say if you are working in Azure environment, you are working in Azure Databricks or ADF, but there is some data that is stored in AWS, or let's say Amazon S3 bucket. So in that case, you may require to read that data for your transformation, or let's say for any business logics. So shortcut is about that. So shortcut is a kind of object that will point to some other storage location, either within the one lake or external to it. Like the location can be either within the one lake or it can be external. Like as I told you example, like it can be anything, like it can be connected to S3 bucket, or let's say Snowflake or something, like in that is about the shortcut. So it's a unified data access. Unified data access means like it will unify your data across different domains, cloud or accounts by creating a single virtual data lake. Like you do not need to copy the data manually to your data warehouse. Like you can simply read it from the source system and use it as and when required. No need to copy it, because if you copy the entire data from some other location to your location or to your service, then it will unnecessarily cost you the storage cost. It will increase your storage cost and everything. So in that situation, shortcut is of much use, which by using which we can simply like read the data from some other location without like having some additional cost. Other thing is like compatibility. So as I told, like we can create shortcut to various storage locations such as ADLS Gen 2, Amazon S3 storage buckets, and flexible creations. So like shortcuts can be created manually through a Fabric UI and the REST API calls. So again, like it's very flexible to create the shortcuts. Symbolic links. So this is one thing important that I will focus. So like it's a kind of a symbolic link. So like they are independent of the objects from the target. It means if even if you delete the shortcut, the target will remains unaffected. Like there will not be any impact on the target data or the target table structures. So that's why it's a kind of a symbolic link only. Now coming to the event house part. So event house, again, if I show you, like it comes under the category of storage only. So if you see, like event house is a solution in Microsoft Fabric. So what is event house? So basically event house is a solution that is designed and handled to analyze large volumes of data on for the real time analytics. So like on real time basis. So what real time basis means, let's say if there is some application like some UI application which is inserting some data or which is deleting some data from the UI itself. So the requirement is like as soon as some transaction happens at the UI, it should immediately reflect to the target system or the reports that the user is seeing. So in that case, this event house comes into the picture. So whatever changes which are being done on real time basis, it is capable of capturing those changes, and those changes can be used to generate the reports on real time basis or querying the data on the real time basis. So that is about the event house. So if you will see, I have written here as well. So it will process or analyze the data in a near real time manner. And again, like it can handle both structured, semi structured, or even unstructured data as well. So it's of pretty much use when we are having some like distributed nature of data from the source. And it comes with a feature of unified monitoring or management across all the databases. So basically event house consists of KQL databases. So whatever data we store in event house, it will store under the KQL databases. So I will cover that KQL databases also in the upcoming slides. And you can get the data from multiple sources such as Apache Kafka or some data flows like in multiple data formats, and the sources can also be multiple like event stream, we have Kafka. So whatever streaming sources we have, we can read the data from those sources in the event house, and then we can use it for the real time reporting or intelligence. And each KQL database within the event house will create one query environment also, which we can use to query the data on real time basis. That is called KQL query set, that I will show you in the upcoming slide. Yeah, so basically exploring about KQL databases in Microsoft Fabric. So it's a kind of a specialized database that is designed for real-time intelligence, and like we can directly read the data or interact run some interactive query by using a KQL language. So KQL is basically custom query language. So like for the SQL databases we have SQL. So for the KQL databases we have custom query languages. So basically custom query language is having pretty much different syntax from what we have in SQL, but telling from my personal experience, it is pretty much easier to remember, and like it is very developer friendly language. I will give you very small example of KQL language in the upcoming slide. So that is about the KQL database. So you can create n number of KQL databases within the event house. Like it is not limited to only one. So suppose if you have one event house, you can create n number of KQL databases. So I remember I have already created one KQL database, so I can show you how exactly it look like. So first thing, like it is a event house. So like this is how the event house looks like. So in event house, like we have this system overview thing, like which can show like about the data, like what is the original size, what is the compressed size, like all the statics will appear here. But since I have not pasted or put any data here, that's why it is showing 0 here. Then within the data, within the event house, we have KQL databases. So this is my KQL database, and this database is empty because like I have not put any data here. And then we have a query set. So basically in event house we are having a KQL database, and for reading any data from that KQL database we need a query set. So within the query set we can run some KQL query and get the data. Like we have SSMS, like SQL Server Management Studio. Similar to that we have query set. In SSMS we can write SQL queries to get the data. In query set we can write KQL queries to get the data. To we can run some KQL queries and get the relevant data. Next slide is about KQL language, custom query language. So as I told, like this language is used to read or interact with the data which is being stored within the KQL database. So it is like one of the very powerful language for exploring the data on real time basis. And like the syntax is pretty much similar. So I have just put one simple query here. So let's say if you want to read the data from the country table where the state is Florida. So if you remember when we have like the SQL language, so the query will be like select a star from country table, and like we have filter like where state equal to Florida. So but in case of KQL, you can just write the table name and then single pipe symbol and the filter condition. So that's how KQL works. So it's like you can think like how simple it is, like just the table name and below that the filter name separate, and by a pipe symbol follow, like condition will be followed by a pipe symbol. So it is pretty much easier for this KQL language to, suppose if there is some new developer or new data engineer, they can easily adapt to KQL thing. Coming to the next topic, so Lakehouse. So again, Lakehouse is a storage solution and within the Microsoft Fabric. So Lakehouse comes with the combined feature of both the data warehouse as well as the data lake. So like there are some features like there are some limitations that data warehouse has, and there are some limitations that data lake has. So this lake house is designed in such a way that it can overcome limitations of both those services. Like it combines both their features, and like whatever limitations we have on those two services, then we are having this lake house to overcome those limitations. So basically it is capable of again storing both structured as well as unstructured data in a single location. And if you know, like if you are from the data engineering background, if you know, like we have delta lake in Databricks. So delta lake in Databricks is pretty much similar what we have in Lakehouse. So Lakehouse again, like we have some time travel properties, and we have like this the data is stored in the Parquet format or the delta tables, where we can restore it to the previous version. We can perform vacuum and optimize. So all those things like what we have in Delta Lake. So pretty much all those features are also covered in the lake house as well. So and within the lake house we can store tables, and those tables, like again how we will load those tables. So the tables can be loaded by using the Fabric notebooks. Like we have Databricks notebook for loading the Delta Lake, we are having a Fabric notebook for loading the lakehouse data. Again, like it's a Delta Lake and the Parquet format. As I told, like since sorry, I scroll the slide. So as I told, like the data in Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse is stored in the Delta Lake tables, which utilize the Parquet file format, and it comes with the features of ACID transactions that we have in Delta Lake as well. So that's about the Lakehouse. Coming to the SQL endpoints in Microsoft Fabric. So basically SQL endpoints like is a service like which will help us to query the data which is stored within the lakehouse, because in lake since lakehouse will store the data in the form of Parquet files. So if you want to query the data using a SQL query, then SQL analytics endpoint comes into the picture. So you can create a SQL analytics endpoint for any lakehouse and then query the data from the tables which are stored in the lakehouse and read only mode. So this is one of the thing that I want to highlight. So SQL Analytics endpoint operates in a read-only mode only. Like you cannot update, insert, or delete the delta tables using this SQL endpoint. Automatic creation. So when you create a lakehouse, a SQL endpoint will be automatically created for that particular lakehouse. Access control. So access control means like we can put object level security, row level security, or column level security using the SQL Analytics endpoint. So like in some project, if there is some PHI or PII data, then in that case, like you can put the row level security or column level security as and when required. Now coming, we will touch base little bit about the data science flow architecture in the Microsoft Fabric. So like at the left hand side, we can have a data source. So data source can be anything, like the data can come from the data warehouse, it can come from the SQL DB, or it can come from some streaming system, IoT device, or anything. It's just example like data warehouse or lake house. Then we are having a notebook. So notebook is like notebooks can be written in any language. Like we can have Python or PySpark, I will say. We can have Spark, SQL. We can have different languages for like having these notebooks where we can clean and prepare the data, because like as I told, the data is not directly read and ingested into the target. We will have some transformations or business logics that we have to apply. So that part we can do in the notebooks thing. Then again, after applying the transformation, we will store the data in the lake house. So this is our clean or transform data that we have in the lake house now. Then this data which is being stored within the lake house, then it can be used either to generate the Power BI reports or some like reporting services. Let's say there are some business users who want to see the reports, it can be used for that purpose. Another thing, like we can train our models or experiments, like using the data which is being stored within the lake house. So that's about the data science flow architecture at a very high level. Like there are many things, but since it's an introductory session, I have covered at the very basic or high level. Coming to the real time insights with Microsoft Fabric. So basically, again, like it's a architecture at a very high level. So at the left hand side, we can have multiple sources, like we can have SQL database, we can have Cosmos database, or like any storage service we can have at the left hand side, which will act as our source. Then within the Fabric, we are having event stream. So event stream is a service which is used to connect or read the data from some streaming device and ingesting it to the target for further transformations. And all these things come under the event house that I already shown you in the previous slides. Like event house is used to process and store the data on real time basis for the real time intelligence, and on the basis of which again we can create the Power BI reports or some business reports which users can use to analyze the data. And again, like KQL query set, since like KQL is used to like read the data which is coming on real time basis, so we can either use the KQL query set also to analyze the data. And everything, all these things will come under the one lake, because like one lake is a unified data solution for everything. So if you will see below this, we have a one lake. This blue color symbol represents one lake. Then the Fabric pipelines. So basically Fabric pipelines is pretty much similar what we have ADF pipelines. So whatever services we have in ADF, not services, whatever activities we have in ADF, all these comes handy within the Fabric pipeline as well. So Fabric pipelines are used to integrate the workflows or the orchestration purpose, like we have in ADF as well. So I will walk you through the UI of this Fabric pipeline as well. So this is example of Fabric pipeline, not example, but the UI, the how it looks like. So it is pretty much similar what we have in EDF. So we, if you see, we have this copy data activity, we have this data flows, we have notebook, we have lookup, invoke pipeline. So everything is pretty much similar what we have in EDF. So that is the Fabric pipeline. It's a kind of an ETL, or I will say orchestration service being provided by Microsoft Fabric, which is pretty much similar to Azure Data Factory. Coming to the Fabric notebook. So Fabric notebook is again like what we have in the Azure Databricks. So in Azure Databricks, we create notebooks. So similar to that, we have Fabric notebooks as well. So in Microsoft Fabric, you can create notebooks in the PySpark language, Spark SQL language, depending on the comfortable, like whatever the language is comfortable for the developer. So that is about the Fabric notebook. And again, in the Fabric notebook, you can write your business logics and transformation that you can execute through the Fabric pipeline, or you can directly trigger it from the UI of the Fabric notebook as well. So we have both the ways. So that is about the Fabric notebook. I can show you the UI of Fabric notebook as well. So this is how exactly the Fabric notebook look like. So from here you can select the language, like we have this PySpark, Spark, Scala, Spark SQL, Spark R. So all these things like are pretty much similar to Azure Databricks. Like there are minor difference, like here we have to select the environment also before running. So environment is basically like place where we will be creating some of the compute resources which will be used to execute our application, Spark application. So if you will see, like it is runtime 1.3, and we have 1 to 10 nodes in the compute. So all these things come under the environment. So you can select the environment from here, and then you can execute your Spark applications. So it is pretty much similar to notebooks in Databricks, but there are minor differences, like where we have to select the environment. And like one more thing I will show in the next slide that is little bit different is this is MS Spark util. So if you remember, like when we, like in Databricks, we have DB utils, but in case of Microsoft Fabric, we have MS Spark utils. Like DB utils do not work here. We have a MS Spark util. So basically, MS Spark utils again, like they will perform some specific task within the Fabric notebook. So like we have DB utils dot fs dot let's say cp for copying the file from one location to another in Databricks. So similar to that, like we have ms spark utils.fs.cp in Microsoft Fabric for copying the data. So if you want to explore each and every utility which is available under this, so simply you can run this command like ms spark utils.fs.help. So it is pretty much similar to what we have in Databricks. The difference is like it is ms spark utils and it is db utils. And one more thing, if you remember, like when we parameterize the notebook in Databricks, we have widget utilities like text box, drop down, combo box. But the case is not same here in Microsoft Fabric. In Microsoft Fabric, we did not use that, but it comes with some other thing that is called like toggle parameter cell. So basically, when you have to pass some value as a parameter in a Fabric notebook, there is one option of toggle parameter cell. So within that cell, if you declare any variable, then it will act as a parameter that you can pass dynamically from the Fabric pipeline or some other orchestration tool. So what I am trying to say, let's say this param1 I have defined as input. So this is my parameter. So how I declared it as a parameter, if you see the three dots here, it is showing toggle parameter cell. So if I, like right now, it is not a parameter. So if I click on toggle parameter cell, you will see it is displaying parameter here. So now it means this is my parameter, and I can pass the value of this parameter from my Fabric pipeline. So how I can pass the parameter? So if I go inside this notebook, so within the settings, we have this base parameter, and from here you can pass the values. Like whatever parameters you want to declare within the Fabric notebook, just declare them, and then this toggle parameter cell, and then you can pass it from the Fabric pipeline. Like it is pretty much similar to what we have in ADF as well. So from ADF also we can pass the parameters. Similar to that, we can pass the parameters from the Fabric pipeline as well. to the Fabric notebook. So that is about the parameterization part. And one more thing that I want to, like, the slide is over, but just one more thing I want to add. So calling Fabric notebook is pretty much easier from the Fabric uh, pipeline. The reason being, like, you know, do not need to create any additional link service for calling the Fabric notebook within the Fabric pipeline. So you can simply go there, and like whatever the notebooks which are stored within your workspace, they will show here. So since notebook one is in my workspace, it will show here. So I can directly call it without creating any additional link service or anything, and I can simply pass the parameters. That is one of the advantage that I see for calling the Fabric notebook from the Fabric pipeline. Like, without creating any link service or anything, you can simply select the notebook which is being stored in your workspace and execute it. Yeah, that's all from my end. Thank you so much for your attention, and I appreciate your participation. And feel free to ask any questions if you have.
Thank you so much, Shivam sir, for your lovely session.
Thank
And
you so
thanks to all the viewers and participants who joined us for this exciting session. I hope you had a great session of learning, and I hope that you were able to grasp knowledge that were new or may have enhanced your knowledge. So thank you everyone for joining the session, and thank you sir for your time today.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.